Only those here live. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'doro. Okay, Rabotai, welcome. Just gonna get the name right. So today the shir is sponsored in honor of the baby girl born Ateret Nechama to David and Shevet Rory. Comes here a lot of times on the bottom, and he asked me, he said, the next time you're having a shiur, I want to sponsor in honor of our baby girl that was born and comes out to this week. So Baruch Hashem, Hashem should give him bracha v'atzlacha and health to the wife and the baby. Should hear only great news. Rabotai, tonight I think we're going to finally understand the real meaning of Oneg Shabbat, understanding how is it possible that people that got the chance to eat the man had a problem with it. Out of your mind, if I tell you you could get, you're hungry, you're in school or at work and they don't give you lunch, you go to the vending machine and you don't even have to choose. You just get a little thing, you taste it, put it in your mouth, whatever you like, it's going to become. In fact, the Gemara writes, there were 5 things that the man would not become, because it's not healthy for a pregnant lady. And the rabbi and the Gemara argue to see it inside. The rabbi says, no. Any flavor you want. What won't happen is the texture of these white little, like we showed last time, if you remember, we showed the actual size, the coriander seed of the man. I showed it 2 years ago. We gave it around the shul by Drasha, by Seudah Shlishit. You know what it did? It changed textures. You could feel the actual food. I was going to bring down like cucumbers and other things. And you feel the texture, yeah? The man changed textures. This was a real miracle food. Okay? Today they're selling you miracle drugs to lose weight, to gain weight, to everything. You had it. And people complained. Why did they complain? Today we're going to understand why they complained. It's not difficult to understand once we get the actual concept. And this concept is amazing because it's going to teach us a lot. I also, at Chata'ai Ani Mazkir, I loved watching that Gordon guy with his shows on cooking. Yeah. And when the judges would say, what's your dish or what's it made out of, they're judging also how it looks. Who cares? I made the best tasting pizza or the best tasting cake or the best tasting whatever it is. Just taste it. Why do you judge me on how it looks? What, my plate needs an extra dot of sauce? That's going to change the whole thing? The sauce on the plate? They sauce it, they put a finger on it, they put a signature on it, they tied a bow on it. Who cares? By the time it goes through your teeth to your throat, it's done. For that little bit, we're going to get judged and we have to make it look good. Why? And why on Shabbat do we have to light candles? What does that do? And how? And why am I bringing up Shabbat candles? Because there was a midrash. This midrash is lost. But Yaakov Shimoni quoted 50 midrashim from this midrash. So if you look at the beginning of the Zera Shimshon, it's going to say Midrash Avkir. Avkir stands for Amen Bimhira Ken Yiratzon. Amen Bimhira Ken Yiratzon. Italian guy wrote this midrash, Rabbi Eliezer di Rozzo, R-O-S-S or Z-Z-O, 1500s. This is the Zera Shimshon, 200 years later, quoting him. Yaakov Shimoni has 50 of his midrashot. Midrash Avkir. Pasuk says in our Parshat, and I put that, if you pick up the paper, you'll see the actual stone chumash I put in the pasuk. I tried to make sure Hashem's name doesn't get in it. I found one yud at the end. But you can put it to shame. It's not a big issue. Yeah, with the big letters on top. That's it. That one. Vaya'ancha, vayar'ivecha, vaya'ancha. What does that mean? I afflicted you. I gave you pain. Vayar'ivecha, and I starved you. Vaya'achilecha et haman, and I gave you the man. This pasuk tells us that he gave us starvation. He gave us affliction, pain, when he fed us the man. It's a strong pasuk. What does Zera Shimshon say from the Midrash? Mikan remez, it's a hint, lahadlakat nerot Shabbat shkoyach. This is a hint to hadlakat nerot Shabbat. How? Explain to me. What are you talking about? It's talking about you gave me man and I hated it. It tasted bad. Didn't taste bad, but you starved me. How could you be starving? I know parents today understand this very well. The kid could eat and then he comes home, I'm still hungry. Depending to whose wedding we went to, certain weddings you come full, but most of the weddings out there, not Bukharian weddings, when you leave it, you're still hungry. You want to go to a restaurant and eat. I understand, okay, but 99% of the time, what is this? You get the beautiful man, and I'm still, and what do we call it? The food that made us starving, the food that gave us pain. Really? How could that be? So look at what Zera Shimshon writes. He says, truth is, it comes from Kehilla. Be'ur inyan aman im hadlakat hanerot. Yuvan, you'll understand it, b'midrash rabbah. Al pasuk birevot hatova, the more the good, rabu ochaleha, the more you would get to eat. The more you do good, the more you can get to eat. So we know what this really means. We know this. How did the man was delivered? The man was delivered. You're a great tzaddik. It was right by your door. You're even a better tzaddik at your door with jewelry. It came with emeralds and gems. I was looking up the Ben Yoyada, and he brought it down. When it says in the pasuk, when it was Yored, Haman, im Hatal, says the Ben Ish Chai, it brings from the Zohar. That means it came down with them, the gems and the jewels, whatever that Nachash was supposed to give us, the two Nachashim that we're supposed to have, came down with the guy's man. So the more you were good, the more you would get. Over there was a very chashuv tzaddik, Menachem Telemai, in the times of the Mishnayot. And the Chachamim asked him, She'alun l'Menachem, they asked Menachem Telemai, Mahu din dichtiv, what does it mean, the pasuk, V'ya'ancha v'yar'ivecha v'ya'achilecha et haman? V'chi, is it possible, ma'achal re'avon et ha'nahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Le'Yisrael et haman, that Hashem gave them food that caused them hunger and caused them pain? What are we, torture city over here? What are we doing? Me'asa. So, this Menachem, the translates as a Menachem the baker. He was a baker. He brought 2 cucumbers. One cucumber, let's say this was the size of the cucumber, this box right here. One of them was a full cucumber grown. The other one was a half a cucumber, but was the same size. And he tells the Chachamim, sages, how much would you pay for this complete, fully grown cucumber? They said, 2 money, double. Okay, what about the broken one? Same size, right? The same size like this, but it's incomplete, it's broken. 1. What's the difference? If you weigh them, they're the same. Who cares? What did the Chacham say? He said, Kishem, right? Amru Lai, the Chacham said, Ladom, it's not similar. Kishem Sha'adam Nehne min ha'ta'am, just like a person likes the way it tastes, pleasure from the taste. Kachu Nehne min ha'iyah. That's the same way a person will have pleasure from what he sees. So it's a beferush midrash. That's how those chef judges know. It's got to look good. Otherwise, people won't want to pay. It's not what they want. Ad kan leshono. This was the end of the midrash in Kohelet. So in Kohelet, we found the pasuk, and we tried to explain our pasuk, and we said, what do you mean? Hashem's going to give food that's going to make everybody upset, not feeling well, hungry? What kind of a food is this, man? And they answered with a mashal. They said, okay, I'll teach you. Here's two types of food, same a cucumber, one's full, one's half, but they're the same weight, same everything. What are you going to pay for? Oh, I'll pay double for what looks well. He goes, that's the same thing here. When you see the man and it doesn't look like an apple, it bothers you. You're not getting the full, you're not going to be full. It's always broken. Yeah, I wish I had a good meal. It would have been better. It's missing something. Look inside. When they only saw Ella Haman, just the man, and it changed flavors, like the Gemara said. Nikra inui ur avon. It was called affliction and hunger. Because they couldn't see what they're eating, for them it felt like hunger. And the Gemara compares to two cases. One is called someone doesn't have bread in his basket. What does that mean? Every day they're wondering where they're going to get the next day month. If they tried to keep it over for one day, everything got spoiled. So they couldn't keep it, so they're all worried. How am I going to get food tomorrow? How am I going to get food tomorrow? So they never enjoy today because they're always worried about tomorrow. That's one Manda Amar in the Gemara. The other Manda Amar in Gemara said, no. Eno domeh mi shero'eh ve'ochel. In fact, the Gemara says a blind person is never really full. He never saw what he fully ate, and therefore he's never full. It's very hard to enjoy food if you don't see it. Sometimes people look at it and say, yuck, I'm not touching that. It tastes good. But it wasn't appealing, because you have two parts of food. One's what you see, and one is what you actually taste. This is the beginning to what we're going to answer. And now, now we understand what happens on Shabbat. On Shabbat, you're not allowed to fast. On Shabbat, you have to make 3 or 4 meals, machloket. So we do the malav malka at the end, so we get our 4th meal. We call Shabbat Oneg. We karata the Shabbat Oneg. That's why we light our candles. Shabbat, so that you shouldn't become like the people eating the man that were never happy with the food they had because they couldn't see it. So now you're going to have beautiful candles on Shabbat so that you could see your food, and halachically that's exactly why you have the candles. Kedei shelo yehesham shem inui ur avon, so that you shouldn't have any affliction or hunger. V'zeu she'amar, this is what the pasuk says, and that's what the Zera Shimshon said. This is what the lost midrash. That's what he meant when he said Mikan remez ladlakat nerot of Shabbat. K'dei sheyu sham kol hanaot. So on Shabbat you should be able to enjoy all the pleasures. The karat Shabbat oneg. Who knows what oneg? Oneg is Eden, Nahar, and Gan. The 3 places that connect to the Gan Eden, how you get into it. That's why you'll see the Mekubalim in their Kiddush cups have all the names of all the rivers leading up to the Gan Eden. You want to have real delight on Shabbat, you got to get those lights on, the candles. I bet you this is why the restaurants put up candles. This is why they want to make it feel like, it's going to give you another ambience. You feel it, you see your food, it looks nice. Hana'at hata'am v'hana'at har'iyah. There's 2 types of pleasure. Tasting and seeing. V'zeu v'karata l'shabbat oneg. That's called v'karata l'shabbat oneg. Put something nice on the table. It's good to look at. This is beautiful. And it should taste good too. Then you get both. Shadavar talui biyad adam likrato oneg. A person is able to create the oneg. Ve'af le'achar shazimin hamalachim hama'achalim, and even though you already prepared all of those dishes, lo sagi, it's not enough. Im lo yikra'ena oneg. You have to make it enjoyable. The Hainu Adlakat Nerot, that's lighting the candles. So now, simple answer. Midrash said this reminds us of candle lighting. Yeah, because you don't want to be like the people by the Manna. They weren't happy. Why weren't they happy? Based on the Gemara, we now understand they couldn't see the actual food. They had texture, big miracle. And they could change it. It says also it came with the Manna, another thing that they were able to eat that was a mixture of many ingredients. So they had in their mouth crazy flavors. And they had the regular Manna change the textures. It changed. You could feel it. Smooth, rubbery, tactical, whatever it was. It wasn't enough. So when they said you gave us this Manna that was vaya'anecha, vayar ivecha, you afflicted us and you made us hungry, because they never really were satisfied fully, because they were missing that sight. But the Zera Shimshon won't stop there. Now it's going to connect the entire thing and make it really understandable. What is Manna? Manna is something spiritual. It was doing us a favor. It was filling us up physically, but it was 100% spiritual. Manna is 100% spiritual. As you know, in many Mishnayot, Masechet Pe'ah, we say it in Tefillah, Karen Kayemet, Le'olam Haba, a little bit from mitzvot we'll get down here. We're never going to have the full enjoyment of spiritual in this world. What kind of food was Manna again? 100% spiritual. It will never satisfy, because you can't have satisfaction down here. That happens in the world to come. But the opposite. And that's why the Midrash connected it to Shabbat candles. But the opposite, you could take a fully physical meal, Friday night's meal, Shabbat morning meal, Seudah Shlishit meal, total physical. And you could light the candles, create an oneg out of it, and you created a completely spiritual meal. And this is the one time you're allowed to enjoy all of it. So you have you have the candles, you're able to see it, and you're able to enjoy it. Look inside. This is amazing. The ita b'mefarshim, the time, the reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Manna in a way that was inui, affliction, or avon, and hunger, right? We said because they never were able to see the actual food that they wanted to eat. They only could think about it and touch the texture, and they were hungry always from it. Haynu lefi shehaman hayam mazon ruhani velo gufani. And therefore what? You can't really enjoy spiritual things on this world. The pleasure we get from it is in Olam Haba. So, especially like this that we're eating the food. Because this spiritual thing became food for us. And because of this, you think Hashem wants to suffer, makes us suffer? He had to choose a miracle, how to feed us in the middle of a desert. So He gave us. But it happens to be that if you're going to get such food, remember, it's a spiritual food. It's there for sustenance only. They didn't use the bathroom, no extra vitamin this or vitamin that, perfect to the person's body. It bothered them because they couldn't see. That was the shot that we said before, that they weren't able to see it. They didn't have, the Gemara says this, better a person that sees the food and eats it versus someone who doesn't see it. The person is never going to be satisfied. So they're telling in the Pasuk, you gave us food that never made us satisfied. We were always hungry. It's like you were teasing us, you were afflicting us. Now Zera Shimshon is adding to that. He's saying that's because it was made that way. It's fully spiritual. The real spiritual pleasure we're getting in the world to come, we don't get it down here. We're not going to get it down here. So therefore there was no other way. But Rak hana'ah hasira was incomplete pleasure. It was missing. We couldn't see it. They weren't happy. Kemo shehem kol tovot ha'olam hazeh. Like all the other senses in the world here, all the other pleasures in the world down here, they're not complete. Keren kayemet le'olam haba. The best is going to be to come. The Ramchal writes, it's only what we're getting here, all the craziness that we could actually enjoy here. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for the new Xbox or my bicycle or the car or the home or whatever it is. All that is a drop of water in the big ocean. The amount of pleasure that's going to be in Shamayim is going to be like the ocean. We're just going crazy over a drop. Famously, first time a boy goes to the wedding with his parents take him to the wedding, and he's holding his daddy's hand. He's coming in, and he looks around, walks into the hallway, big atrium, and the kid says to daddy, "Wow, that's a chandelier. Look at the size of this place." And they go further, they give the coat to the guy, and the kid is mesmerized, and the dad looks at him and says, "Habibi, they're just a coat closet. Wait till we get into the main place, to the main hall. We're just in the outside." The Ramchal uses that example. We're the prosdor. We're just a hallway to the Olam Haba. And imagine what's waiting for us. So the man was holy. It fed us physically, but it was missing physical pleasures like all the other pleasures in the world that we have down here. It's always missing something. It's not complete. She'enam hana'ah shalema. In this world, no pleasure is complete. V'hineh ma she'anu ochlim b'Shabbat hu mazon gufani. Although it's physical, we have to cook it and prepare it. V'chashuv lo kemo mazon ruchani. But it functions like spiritual nourishment. And he brings down a Kabbalistic book that is teaching Musar, the Reshit Chochmah. The Reshit Chochmah writes in the 15th chapter, and I printed it in the paper in the notes, Shekol habasar v'hashuman hamitrabe ba'adam b'shvil achilat Shabbat v'yom tov eno ne'epach d'rima v'tola'ah. We know in Pirkei Avot it says, you eat too much in this world, you're going to be turned into worms and maggots when you get buried. But if you eat, and the Reshit Chochmah explains this, it's kedai to look at it. Can you give me my one copy of notes for me so I could, do you have a copy? Pass that up, please. Thank you. Top paragraph over here. Top paragraph. Unbelievable Reshit Chochmah. And he tells us a trick. You can eat all week well, and you won't have a problem. Because you have to know how to shop. It's put on the Gemara. It's put on everywhere. You go out on the market on Sunday, you say, Hayom Yom Echad b'Shabbat Kodesh. I'm going to buy this for Shabbat Kodesh. Comes out on Monday, he finds something even nicer. He goes, forget about that one. Forget about that one. Hillel will do this. I found something better. Sheni. Guess what? The Reshit Chochmah writes, whatever you eat from that, what he purchased on Sunday, is counted as if it was already Shabbat, because your whole intention was Shabbat, even though you found a better one. Monday you ate Sunday's food, you did good, because that was really for Shabbat. Monday whatever you bought on Monday, Tuesday replaced it because you found something better. Because on Shabbat and Yom Tov, nothing will turn into a worm or tole'ah. This is where we get the concept of you don't have to diet on Shabbat. That food doesn't count. That food doesn't count because of this. We'll read it. Okay, so part of it is not what we're talking about, but then Bebet Hillel Omerim, and that's where it's going to be. So third line, Tanya. Third word in the third line. Tanya namahachi bet Shammai Omerim mehad b'shavich l'shabbatich. Bet Hillel Omerim Baruch Hashem Yom Ya'amos Lanu. And Rashi explains, Alav Shalom, mehad b'shavich l'shavutich mehad b'shabbat shelcha ten libecha l'shabbat ha'ba'ah. Okay, כבר פירשנו טעם למציאות הדבר לזכירות השבת בכל יום. What is it? וטעם ההוא יספיק על מציאות ההזמנה. אבל לעניין האכילה, now comes our concept. נוכל לומר, we could say, במה פירש שם, כי אין אכילת האדם בשבת שווה לאכילתו בחול. Whatever you eat on Shabbat is not the same like eating on a weekday. כי אכילת שבת נקרא עונג. עונג is sod, is Eden, Nahar, and Gan. It has to do with Gan Eden. How you get to Gan Eden, with the Nahar. And the whole Oneg is about getting into Gan Eden. This is the Me'in Olam Haba. Shene'emar v'karata l'Shabbat Oneg. And therefore, the who mitzvah. It's a mitzvah. V'hinei be'hazmino be'ahad b'Shabbat maneh l'Shabbat. You found something for Shabbat on the first day of the week. Rechila aleh kedushat Shabbat. The holiness of Shabbat already falls onto it. By the way, you go shopping in the store, Bingo, Rockland, wherever, Evergreen, and you say, this is for Shabbat Kodesh. All the money that comes out for Shabbat Kodesh is not counted in your regular package you got on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, they said, this is the amount of dollars you're going to make. That's that. The Shabbat stuff is Shabbat, the Shabbat Oneg. It's a whole different ballpark, because Ashkadosh Baruch Hu takes care of that for you. We said this mashal a few years ago. Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or somebody decided to become your guest. The whole town found out. He's coming to your house. How can he come to my house? I got dust in the corner, broken wall. My plates are from 20 years ago. They're already all cracked and crushed. The spoons are out of shape. I can't do this. No, it's coming to your house. Okay? Credit card. That's the one thing you can do. They take the credit card and they spent it on fixing up the house and everything in it. The pot, the pots, the pans, the spoons, the cutleries, everything was changed over good. Looked like Pesach 101. The rich guy comes. This is Rabbi Shimshon Pinkus says this. He came. He's eating your house. Everybody's like busy trying to tell you, just tell him we need some money, help us out. Staying with your guest the entire time. You didn't leave him. After the guest, you didn't tell him, go home, it's already Motzei Shabbat, it's early, let's go. He goes, no. Stay, you have an after party. He stays. And at the end, the grandmother's already telling you, hello, blinking eyeballs like in the cartoons. It looks like already dollar signs. Do the ask. It's a chashuv guy, we're not asking. And the rich man gets up, and the rich man says, I see you spend a lot of money here for me. I would never make you do this out of your own pocket. I have a team. They're going to take care of you. Have no fears. Kadosh Baruch Hu does that every single Shabbat. That's how he does it. The Karata the Shabbat Oneg. So the Resh Chochmah writes over here that whatever you're going to buy for on the Sunday for Shabbat, that food already received on the Kedushat Shabbat. Even if you switch it to something else now, it has the Kedushat Shabbat. Eating that will not cause tolah, not cause rima, will not cause anything to you. That's what it says. And it says even further. It says, when you find something else, you eat the first one. It's as if you ate Shabbat food. She achila ruhanit vehi mitzvah. ואחד מן הדברים מצילים את הגוף הצדיקים, and what saves the tzaddik? שלא תשלוט עליהם רימה למיתתם, that nothing should affect them during their death, when they die. he שלא ייהנו אלא מסעודת מצווה. That's what the Breslov Rebbe did, Reb Nachman, that's what other tzaddikim did. They tried to fast from Shabbat to Shabbat. They didn't want to eat during the weekday, but you don't have to fast. The Rosh Chochmah already tells you, what do you need to do? It has to be food for Shabbat. And then you switch it for something nicer. We say this every day, Ayom Yom, whatever, b'Shabbat Kodesh. We're already telling you, this is, you can prepare yourself for Shabbat. This is the inyan. So, let's finish up. So really, on Shabbat and Yom Tov, really you're eating physical food, and we said it's going to become spiritual. Spiritual, you're not supposed to feel. You're not supposed to feel anything, right? You're supposed to be missing. But if you light the candles, what happens now? Now you get to see. Now you made shalem the entire pleasure. You hear that? Because it's Shabbat and you lit the candle, your physical food that became spiritual, which now you shouldn't really have a full shalem pleasure. The moment you light the candles, you get to see the food that you have there. V'karata l'Shabbat oneg, you're getting me'en olam haba, which is a full pleasure. You don't have this all the way around. The people in the midbar getting the mun, this was their complaint. You're not giving me the full thing. I'm hungry. Oh, when it comes to Shabbat, and you light the candles, you're getting the full pleasure. So that means now, this is a whole new look at how we're supposed to deal with Shabbat. Shabbat is supposed to be pleasure. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be delightful. Not only should the food taste good, but the place should look good. Now you know why the halakha in Shabbat says, if the house is clean, still dust things around. You have regular dishes, you have Shabbat dishes too. You should take out the nicer tablecloth. Why? Why are you doing all this? V'karata l'Shabbat oneg. And he says, and he goes to the last piece, and by the way, this is why it's called, and this it brings down from the Psukim Psachim, last paragraph, shapir masha amru en kiddush ela b'mkom seuda. That's why it's called kiddush. Because you're taking something that's physical, you're bringing it up the elevation to a spiritual, and you're creating an oneg of Shabbat. So now, we got to understand now. Let's go back to the beginning. When the Midrash says, when it says in the Pasuk that they were angry with the mun they had because it wasn't filling them, they were still hungry and afflicted. And the Midrash writes, this reminds us of Adlakat Nerot. He who better believe it does. Because on Shabbat, when we have the physical food, we're making it spiritual. We shouldn't enjoy all of it. It's not going to be shalem. Says the halacha, light the candles so you should be able to see. And when you're able to see, you have the full pleasure of oneg. Because you need two parts, the tasty part, and it should look good. And I hope that with this, we're able to come into Shabbat on such a level with the Reshet Chochmah and the Yaakov Shimoni. There's beautiful pieces of information. This is what needs to happen. The candles of the Shabbat, what does it do? It brings light. So just to recap, because I know not everyone came on time, so it's very simple. Pasuk says, V'ya'anecha, it gives us the pain, affliction. V'yar'ivecha, you starved us. V'ya'achilcha haman, you gave us this man. So this man made us starving and pain. How? It's supposed to be good. So the Gemara gives us two things. The Gemara says a person is never happy when he's eating if he's worrying about tomorrow. What do we do the next day? Or, the Gemara says, a person is never happy when he doesn't see the food he eats. A blind man never will see it. What should we do if we don't have lights? Eat in the morning. That's why the restaurants, everyone puts nice lights, ambience, has to feel good too. When it looks good, it'll taste good. You need both. In the mun, it was missing the look. You couldn't, it just was white, round little circles. It had texture. The Marsha says it changed textures when you thought of different types of foods. It had a good flavor, had many multi-flavors, but they didn't see. And because they didn't see, they were never full. That's what they were saying. And the Midrash says that reminds us of Hadlakat Nerot. That's precisely why we like the Hadlakat Nerot. So we should see the food, so we should have an ambience. And if we do both, then we get the true pleasure of Oneg Shabbat. And Shabbat, we take the physical food and we create it spiritual, like the mun. The mun was spiritual, they couldn't enjoy it. It's in Shamayim you get Yishchar. The food becomes spiritual. We're not going to get a full enjoyment. And Halacha says, no, light those candles. And now you're going to have both the good light, the good looking, the seeing of the food, and the good tasting. And you're going to have the karata, the Shabbat, oneg. That's the basically around a little recap. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Shaharit. It's not going to press because there's a button being pressed at the bottom. You can't take the whole thing off.